Welcome, Pewter Report readers, listeners, and viewers to another edition, a post-game podcast, victory edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. I am John Ledyard from pewterreport.com. With me to start this podcast off, all the Pewter Reporters will roll through here as we always do on a post-game podcast to kick things off. The wonderful one and only. With me to start this podcast, Sarah is on the show as well, and Matt. Man, I'm excited to see you on the show to kick things off with me. It was a really depressing victory, which is, I guess, the way you want it to look, right? I mean, I'd rather have that than the other way around.
I guess depressing would be one way to describe it, but the way that game ended, the final 5 or so minutes with Brady getting the ball and, with about 4 minutes left, driving down the field, were they going to score a touchdown? Were they going to get in field goal range? Because we know Ryan Succop doesn't have the strongest legs, so they still needed, I thought at the point too, that they need to get down the field a little bit further than where they lined up, and he hit it. And then that finish at the end with the field goal going off the post, I mean, the adrenaline I don't think has worn off yet for me. I mean, it was a thrilling game. Everyone was on the edge of their seats. So much went down. Yeah, it was disappointing. It was sloppy. The Bucs could be so much better. But a win is a win is a win, and you got to take it. And I'm sure everyone's happy that the Bucs are 3-1.
I'm happy. I'm happy that I hate individualizing sports. People know that. They've heard me rant about this before. I love Bruce Arians' rant after the game. I'm happy that the whole Brady versus Belichick ridiculousness is over. I get it. I'm not saying I don't understand where it comes from. I get it completely. I understand the history there. But I love way more when it's team-focused stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to move on from this one. I think I speak for a lot of Bucs fans when I say that. Like, just getting this game done with feels like it's such a big deal to people in New England, Boston area. I think for Bucs fans, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is like crazy amount of drama over this. And it's just like, how do we move past it? And to be able to do that, getting a victory, I think is big for this team. It was pretty pathetic all night, both sides of the ball. Obviously defensively in the secondary, I'm not going to be too critical because I actually felt like, those guys did the biggest thing. Let's start with defense, Matt. The biggest thing those guys did was they kept everything in front of them. And you can say what you want about, the secondary hurting and the way that it did. But honestly, man, I think they did fine. I really do. I mean, Richard Sherman, you give up some in breakers. It's tough, man. You're going to give up something at times, especially when they're blitzing in the middle of the field's open. You're not getting any help kind of underneath. So there's a lot of easy throws right down the pipe for Mac Jones. I am so confused by those who come out of this game like singing Mac Jones praises. I'm not saying he was bad, but I mean, come on. Like, what can you name one tough throw he made in that entire game?
No,
I saw people saying, oh, if you're the Jets, you should be like depressed about this game because Tom Brady looked great and Mac Jones looked like the best rookie quarterback. I was like, Zach Wilson made like 4 plays today. That
Mac Jones did you see Zach Wilson chucking the ball down the field today? That's all I'll say about the Jets because we're here to talk about the Bucs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, going into the game, or at least the first half, it was clear that the Patriots were going to pick on Richard Sherman, and rightfully so. He practiced on Wednesday. He only had 3 practices with the team, and we all know Friday's more of a general walkthrough as it is. So they picked on Richard Sherman, but yeah, there was no plays down the field. I mean, the biggest play that the Patriots had was the pass interference on Jordan Whitehead on that final drive.
And the Jacoby Myers pass.
Yeah, that
one.
Right. Well, the Patriots had to go to trickery just in order to start making plays down the field. That's essentially what it came down to. I thought with all the injuries that happened and it looks like the Bucs are in a world of hurt in the secondary moving forward. That Carlton Davis injury did not look good. I'm not a doctor, but it looks like he might be out for a while. Who knows? I mean, we'll obviously get a report and everything. But with the players they had, as you said, they kept everything in front of them. The pass rush was much better tonight. They had 3 sacks in the game, 4 sacks in the game. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka had 2. Obviously he stepped up, which was great. It was much more encouraging from the pass rush. At the end, though, they were sending blitzes every single time. They weren't getting home. I was getting a little worried about that, but ultimately, if you would have said before the game the Bucs were only going to allow 17 points, I think everyone would have signed up for that.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, what did I say? What was my prediction again? It was like 24-13, I think I said. So, I mean, it was maybe a little more than I expected even, but hard. You didn't anticipate all the injuries when I said that. It was before we knew Dean was going to be out. But yeah, either way, I mean, it was kind of when you were white knuckling it the whole time, even though the defense did really kind of played their, and obviously offensively they faced a team that was much worse and a quarterback that was much worse than the others that they faced this season, but they played really their best game of the year. Pressure got home and they made some things happen. Tony says, good, John going to be livid that Lenny played well. I know Tony, he's just kidding, but that's funny. No, I've really pumped for Leonard Fournette, man. Thought he had a great important game. No mistakes. That was big. Really excited for him. I know we're talking about Bucs defense right now, but I wanted to use that to transition to Jack St. John. Well, he prays on JTS. He's looking good. He's looking great, Matt Matera. It was awesome to see him out in this game. I think he's going to be a difference maker. 2 sacks, the first 2 of his career. Got one on the first drive was a huge one. They picked up a couple first downs. Patriots had, and Ryan Succop knocks him out of field goal range. That was just, and a couple other rushes that he won on that pressures. He was their best pass rusher all night. He's already, I think, the best pass rusher on this team. I kind of said that before his first start. I think the last 2 games, he's been their best pass rusher. And I know Jason Pierre-Paul is probably back next week. You've got to figure out a way to keep playing Joe Tryon-Schwenk. It's a tough situation this year. I get it. But that guy cannot be on the bench. He is really good, and especially if you're going to get pressure with 4, he's got to play.
No, you're absolutely right. He was hands down their best pass rusher. I loved his second sack, too. Now, granted, a lot of that was Vita Vea just trucking his way through 2 offensive linemen. But a lot of sacks now, no one can hit the quarterback anymore. There's all these stupid penalties, but he drilled Mac Jones on that penalty, on that sack. I was almost worried, like, oh, did he hit him in the head? But he was crouching down.
Did he hit him too hard? Oh, there's a penalty.
Honestly, that's what happens now in football. You hit someone a little too hard, and you're instantly like, oh, where's the penalty? Where's it coming? But yeah, I thought
on the Winfield pick, it was the same thing. The Winfield pick, I was like, oh, Devin White's going to get a penalty for hitting him.
Right, yeah. I thought JTS did a great job, too. As you said as well, sure, he had the 2 sacks, but there was a lot of pressures, too. He was, just a hand away from getting to Mac Jones, or you felt that Mac Jones could really feel the pressure from JTS, and he had to move around in the pocket more than he wanted to, and made him feel uncomfortable. I thought it was good for the Bucs overall. It looked a little bit like the defense last year where, sure, they'll let up some of the underneath things, but they made those splash plays. They had the interception. They had a huge, big-time forced fumble by Antoine Winfield Jr. when it looked like the Patriots were heading down the field, were going to extend the lead they had. That was such a crucial turnover created by the Bucs in the biggest moment when they really needed it. It honestly reminded me, again, Antoine Winfield Jr., that playoff game against the Saints where that turned everything around. This didn't necessarily turn the game around because obviously it went back and forth. But that was a huge critical moment that I don't think can be overlooked in the magnitude of this game with the Bucs being able to pull this one off.
Yeah, terrific point. I completely agree with you. Winfield changed this game, in my opinion, with those 2 plays. I felt like I don't know how this one goes if he doesn't make those 2 plays. And then, of course, he gets the concussion and he's out through the rest of the game. And so we'll see what his status is because he's in the protocol now. I agree with you on Carlton Davis. I just guessing, not a doctor. I think it's a season ender. I think I look like a serious quad injury. He's in agony, couldn't walk. They carried him off. They carted him to the locker room.
You can see the aggravation on his face.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Sometimes you just know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we're wrong and it ends up being miraculously not that bad, and that's huge because I said this, I think he's their defensive MVP last season, Matt. Not necessarily their best player, but their MVP in terms of, can you imagine if they had to play many games without him last year, the way Sean Murphy, Bunting, and Jamel Dean played in the regular season? Now, those 2 guys are hurt. Dean, you hope he's back this upcoming week. But
Richard Sherman's been there less than a week, and he's the de facto leader of the secondary now.
It's unbelievable that they signed him, though, right? Like, that was when they thought at that time Dean was going to play and Carlton Davis was going to be good to go as well. And that ends up being very fortuitous now that he's there because I think as he acclimates, things will get better for him for sure.
Yeah.
He wasn't out of position tonight as much as he was just beat a little bit slow getting back into the rhythm of things to read things and break on things. Pierre Desir almost ended the game, but essentially with a pick 6 late in the game. He actually, I know he gave up a couple catches, but he kept everything in front of him and he was right there to defend the last one and then almost picked off the third one, gave up a catch on that too. I thought he actually played okay. But that's going to be huge now, Matt, because I do think you're looking at probably a stretch run here without Carlton Davis. We'll see about playoffs and things like that maybe, but Sean Murphy-Bunting probably going to miss still several more weeks, I would guess, and we'll see about Dean and what his injury is, but he's hardly reliable when he comes back. So plenty of questions in the secondary. The good news is the slate of quarterbacks coming up.
I know. Thank goodness they're playing Jacoby Brissett and the Dolphins next week, because that can help a lot of things too. Just a quick comment on this year. He started with the Jets before, so if he does have to play in an extensive role like that, I don't think it'll be a situation where the moment's too big for him or anything like that, because he does have a starter's experience. Obviously, he's not the ideal guy that you want in the situation, but you can only – this is the situation that the Bucs are in. So if Desir has to be maybe not a starter, but a guy that plays a lot of snaps, I'm confident that he can at least try to be efficient in that situation and won't struggle with having more snaps than usual.
Yeah, for sure. Really appreciate this $10 super chat from Brian. Thanks for staying up and doing these things so late, guys. Appreciate you both. Appreciate you, Brian. Really appreciate these super chats, especially on the Game Day podcast. Really meaningful to us, and you guys throw that in there. That all goes back into the podcast. If you're ever wondering, that's how we got cameras and ring lights and headsets and mics and all that stuff. We're doing live shows now out at Whiskey Wings. The pregame show is out there. That's all thanks to, in part, to the super chats. Whenever you send them our way, it goes right back into the show and producing better and more content for y'all. So we really, really appreciate those for sure. A couple people have mentioned JC Allen crying, not on the show, but Patriots fans. All I'm saying is when JC gets on this podcast later tonight, y'all better hammer him in the chat. Hammer him. Go out, because not only because he picked the Patriots on the pregame show, but because he picked the Bucs earlier. So he was hedging big time. And I don't appreciate it. And y'all better get after him on the podcast when he gets in here. Get some booze going in the chat. When he gets
ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Everyone say it in the comments. It's from 8 Mile. Well, it's a Tribe Called Quest, I believe, but it's also an 8 Mile. That's a big part of it. So anyway.
Paul said, John, as the game went on, I kept thinking about your prediction about this feeling like the Chicago game. Pretty accurate. Glad the Bucs pulled through. Yeah, this game almost went down like exactly how I kind of laid out that it was going to happen, right? Except even uglier, right? Like I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I think it'll be a struggle. I think Belichick's going to muck things up. No way he gets blown out. Like, people were, but this ended up being way closer than I thought it was going to be, way uglier than even I thought it was going to be. And I think, that Bears game, man, it was like down to Pierre Desir almost pick six again. Remember, Jamel Dean almost picked six on the last drive for Chicago in that game a year before. It was so eerily similar all the way. The red zone failures, the drop passes, the penalties, the injuries coming into the game, the injuries during the game. Remember, they lost Carlton last year. They lost Vea in that game.
Yeah.
It was so similar to me, Matt. I was like, kind of freaking out a little bit how similar the games were and how similar the scripts were. Bucs finished this one. They did enough. Plenty of failures, especially offensively, that we'll talk to in a second here. Defensively, though, if you're coming out with any positives from a game in which you lost Winfield and Davis, two of your best players, and you might have to go, take on the Dolphins with all backups in the secondary except for Jordan Whitehead. You're probably looking at the pass rush, right? Shaq Barrett had a solid game, got a sack. Had a couple other opportunities for once, a couple other pressures. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka showed up, as we mentioned. Interior guys, not totally disruptive. I still think it's hard when you're playing Anthony Nelson that much, but I know Tryon-Shoyinka is a rookie, and he's still got to get his feet under him. But they just lose all effectiveness as a rush group when it's Raheem Nunez-Roches and Anthony Nelson out there. You have to find some way, I think, to mix and match those units a little bit more so that you're not the B group is just bad right now. Like
right, and it seems like every time Anthony, I'm not anti-Anthony Nelson, but I just feel like every time he's on the field, the offense, the opposing offense, ends up scoring a touchdown on that drive. I believe I got to go back and look at the tape, but it looked like Nelson was on the field for at least one of those touchdown scoring drives for the Patriots. I mean, Nacho's in there to stop the run. We all know that he's not much of a pass rusher. It would be great if JPP can come back and they could slide him inside. And obviously, you got to get to those 3rd and long situations. But overall, I thought it was encouraging that they got to the quarterback more than often. And I think as the season goes along, too, I know we look at everything in a microcosm and look at everything on a case-by-case basis. But I also think you talked about the Chicago game. That's where it took a while for the Bucs to get everything, full circle. But at least what they started with after that game was eliminating the penalties. And I'm not saying that they're going to start eliminating the penalties in this game, but I'm sure there'll be something that Bruce Arians really hones in on, whether it's red zone efficiency or maybe it's penalties or something like that. You're going to see the Bucs turn a corner in certain situations, whether it's the defense getting third down stops or the offense converting on second and short and not getting to that third and short and running the ball on third down, because third and short is a rundown, as Scott Reynolds says. So I do think it's going to be a lot of things that they take away from this game that they're going to put an emphasis on moving forward, regardless if the secondary is beat up. So while it was ugly, I think, I don't know, I'm still confident in this team. They have a lot of stuff that they can clean up and do better with. And also, my apologies, it was Mobb Deep that did shook ones. My apologies.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you, though. Outlook for the team, to me, doesn't change necessarily other than the injuries. That's what you got to gauge. And defensively, I'm not sure what the ceiling is. It could get ugly. Like I said, they do face the schedule gets a lot weaker, no question. But even some of those guys, just Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields played all right today. They're probably going to be kind of all over the map all season. So do you catch them on a hot game or not? Especially if you're giving up lots of easy throws. I mean, Mac Jones had 19 straight completions at some point tonight. I stand completely by the fact that I think he did absolutely nothing special at all in this game. No. And I just cannot it is what it is in terms of the completions, but that's been the thing with the Bucs defense. Like, they've allowed a ridiculously high completion percentage. They did all year last year and they still won the Super Bowl. So I guess it worked well enough, but they really won by changing what they did when it came to playoff time. And so I think that was a big part of this for sure. But Joey says, John, that AB touchdown drop had me in disbelief. Yeah, we've got to get to that. We're going to get to that later in the show. That was an unreal moment amidst a game full of unreal moments to me by Bucs skill players. Jack Wright, is CD3 always a gunner? Seems annoying to get the bad injury on special teams. Yeah, I mean, I can't be too critical of this.
Because the Patriots had their offense on the field, and then they did the whole thing where they all run off, and the punt team comes on.
And then they delay a game, and I guess, but I think they still felt like Bruce Arians said after the game, I don't know if it's something they saw or a tell or something they picked up on film. I don't know, but they felt like they could be a fake situation for New England. Like, they were going to run a fake maybe in that spot near midfield. And so they kept their defense out there in that situation. So also gunners, he would have been a vice, not a gunner in that situation, because the Bucs were returning a punt. But he was so that was just the situation. I mean, I don't know. That's hard for me to get angry with coaches for that, because I mean, they know that stuff, and I wasn't looking for that stuff. So I mean, I don't know whether that was the right call or not. But either way, I mean, it's a freak injury. It's a non-contact thing. It's it's not like it was one hit that did it. I mean, it could have been an injury. I mean, he's just literally running, not even at full speed, and it happened.
Yeah, so it could have happened.
Probably an injury that was probably an injury that was getting close to happening anyway, maybe at that point. So defensively, just sticking there for a minute. We're going to bring Scott Reynolds in here for a second. Yeah, Devin White whiffed on 2 sacks, dropped the pick six. The pick six was a little bit behind him, actually. If that had been a better throw than that throw. Yes, he probably would have picked it. It ended up being behind. He had jumped it early, if anything. Yeah, White jumped it a little bit early. I am getting to the point where I'm just very frustrated. Levante David overran a sack too, I think, in this game.
Yeah.
But, that's highly unusual. You almost never see Levante David overrun a tackle. But Devin White is just out of control. I don't know how they calm him down and get him to stop running past people, but it's just crazy.
You would think the rain would have slowed him down a little bit.
Oh my word. I mean,
not really the case.
He is absolutely a runaway locomotive for most of these games this season. And it's been, he keeps missing sacks. He's got plenty of opportunities in this one, but didn't finish the job. So we got to get to the officials. We got to get to a lot of things. Let's look at the stats here as we get ready to bring Scott in here for the post-game podcast. Tom Brady, 22 of 43 for 269 yards, a couple of drops in there. Obviously the drop touchdown from Antonio Brown at the end, dropped by Cam Brate over the middle, dropped by Mike Evans down near the red zone. That was a killer early in the game. Leonard Fournette, terrific game from Leonard Fournette, because it was, not only was it good in terms of production, but it was mistake free too. And that's what you need from him. That's something he's really been unable to give the Bucs most of the times he's suited up for them. So the fact that he was able to give him this in a game where everybody else kind of struggled with mistakes, or a lot of people did, really feels like they came away with a huge performance from him because he's good in pass protection too. And that's been really big, his improvements there. 91 rushing yards, 47 receiving yards. Mike Evans, 7 catches, 75 yards. Antonio Brown, 7 for 63. Both those guys had some killer drops, but they did find a way to make a few plays. Brown would have been the hero of this game
I know.
if he catches that pass and Donovan Smith doesn't get the pretty questionable hands to the face penalty in the early in the third quarter. That took tons of yardage off the table for Antonio Brown. He would have had a monster performance if not for that.
No, you're absolutely right. AB, that touchdown still kills me because I had that as my prop bet. But yeah, the throw was incredible. It was right in his hands, and it looked like that it came out after he had already landed, so it was still an incomplete pass either way. But yeah, it would have been a huge game. I thought it was surprising he felt like he didn't play as much as he should have, just the amount of snaps. Like Tyler Johnson had a ton of snaps, but it was like, why is Tyler Johnson here on third down? This should be Antonio Brown.
Right, for sure.
He doesn't need any rest. He didn't play last week. If anything, he should have been down there almost in every single crucial down.
Right, Scott, we're getting ready to turn the page on the defense a little bit until we come back to maybe look at the injury situation moving forward at the end of the show. But thoughts on the defense and how they played, given the fact that they're without 4 starters and Jason in the secondary, Jason Pierre-Paul for the finish of that game, obviously. Yeah, starting a lot of guys that haven't played much football at the end there.
You're right. And I think when you look at the players that really stepped up, it was the guys that we've been criticizing over the last couple of weeks here, the splash players, Devin White, Antoine Winfield Jr., Shaq, Barrett, those type of guys that are, leaders at every level, guys that really made an impact in the postseason run and the Super Bowl run for the Buccaneers. And you saw that tonight, even though Devin White had, a very up and down game again. I mean, he's playing more like Quan Alexander now than Devin White. That's not a good thing. So I think that, but if you look at the Shaq Barrett forced fumble, which really should have been a forced fumble. We talked about this on Pewter Game Day, John. Devin White was right there to scoop it up, but White also had the pressure on Mac Jones, the big hit on that overthrow that Ross Cockrell got a tip, and Antoine Winfield came up with the interception. Then Winfield had the forced fumble that was key, and you saw Richard Sherman jump on the loose ball. But Devin White, though, how many times is this guy going to come screaming through the A-gap and just miss? I mean, it's not like Mac Jones is that athletic, but you got to come in under control and be able to redirect as a good blitzer. But we've seen him miss several opportunities for sacks this year, and that's why he has 0 through 4 games now. It's not like he's not getting through and maybe affecting things, but he could play a hell of a lot better than he is. John, to your point about Levante David, I agree. He's not playing that well, except I got to give him credit for.
Whoa. I didn't say that, but go ahead.
Well,
I just said he overran a sack.
Yeah, well, he overran a sack, but he also came up with a huge pass deflection at the line of scrimmage that set up that 56-yard game winning field goal attempt that doinked off the upright by Nick Folk. And I tell you what, as somebody who watched Nick Folk single-handedly lose the Bucs-Patriots game on Thursday Night Football back when he was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, that was poetic justice right there, because Nick Folk was a good kicker, comes to Tampa, which is the cesspool of kicking, unless you're Ryan Succop, and just absolutely crap the bed. And then the Bucs cut the guy, and he goes to New England, and he hits 35 straight field goals before tonight's miss. So that's poetic justice for the Buccaneer fans that were cursed by Nick Folk first, and then his replacement, Chandler Canzero, came and basically put on the Nick Folk jersey and did the same thing, crap the bed, and then he ended up leaving too. Thankfully, the Bucs have Ryan Succop. Yes, he did have a miss tonight, but listen, 4 out of 5 ain't bad, especially when your last one's ends up being the game winner.
And the conditions. I mean, the conditions.
And the conditions.
Tonight.
Yes.
You saw
no doubt.
The holds. Bradley Pinion for as poorly as he kicked tonight and many mistakes as he made with, I guess, probably the conditions, something to do with it. Maybe, I don't know. But man, I mean, he had one hold was low and slid and he got it and put it down and Succop hit it. And those kind of things matter in a game like this. Obviously it was a very ugly performance for the offense, tons of self-inflicted stuff. Even you go back to that long one to Antonio Brown, there was a lot of that where they moved the ball down the field. I don't think you'll see many games this season where the team goes 1-4 red zone in terms of touchdowns and drops a touchdown on a possession outside of the red zone. So pretty ugly stuff from the Bucs. Feels very self-inflicted to me. I still do not feel like it is something an opponent did. I know that'll be the storyline. People are lazy with the narratives, but I think feel like the Bucs do it to themselves.
You were spot on in the comparison between this game and the Chicago Bears game last year.
Yeah.
The difference is this team has just gotten a little bit better. It's more mature. It's more experienced. There's a little bit more savvy to this team that even when they're not playing well, they still win a game like this, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference between the early season 2020 Buccaneers and the early season 2021 Buccaneers that have that playoff experience, that Super Bowl experience, that they can really try to do everything they can to do all the self-inflicted wounds, but yet still stay alive. This, I think I texted you guys in the group chat, survive in advance. This is a banged up team, and I do not want to be the Debbie Downer because this is still a long season to go. And this team will get Jamel Dean back. They will get Sean Murphy-Bunting back. Not sure when, but right now, the amount of injuries that are mounting in the secondary, especially with Carlton Davis, and I agree with you, John, it looks like it's a serious injury. You're talking about a quad injury. Usually that's a tear. That's not good. Those don't heal quickly. And when you're a cornerback, you got to be able to drive, plant, sprint, all those things. I really feel bad for Carlton because this is a contract year for him.
Year. Yeah, he's having a great season.
Sure. But with him and Winfield, this secondary just keeps taking a hit. I will say it's not like the Patriots tried to run the ball, but boy, the Buccaneers, if they tried to run the ball, made them change their mind.
No chance.
8 carries, -1 yards. I mean, that's some yeoman's work up there. And Will Golston, how about that? I just saw Will Golston here. Let's throw him up. Yeah, thank you very much, Will Golston. My man, Will Golston. 2 sacks, tied for the team lead. He only had 3 last year, which was a career high. He's already got 2. I'll tell you, he's up there with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, who is a star in the making, and Shaq Barrett now. Will frigging Golston tied for the team lead in sacks. I love to see it.
Yeah, I do too. He's really played great, I think, this season. They've asked more of him the last 2 years, and he's definitely delivered. One of the unsung heroes of this team. Matt, as you look at this performance and you were looking at some of the most, I think you wrote most disappointing, didn't you? It's going up on pewterreport.com in a little bit. Offensively, there were probably some people to choose from. What stood out to you from this game, especially as you look at the Bucs offensive line, their performance? Weird game maybe for them tonight because the Patriots rushed 3 as much as they did and truly tried to play coverage and keep everything in front of them and make it a little more difficult for Brady. But still, I felt like a pretty clean performance for that group.
Yeah, it was an odd game for sure because they obviously ran the ball pretty well and as effectively as they had this season. Matthew Judon was a huge problem for the offensive line in this game. He got to Brady. He caused the penalty on Donovan Smith. I understand it was questionable, but if it wasn't for a good pass rush in the first place, you don't even get that call. I had Alex Kappa on my most disappointing list. Him and Ronald Jones were responsible for the sack that was allowed by Judon, where, first of all, it was a play action, so Kappa pulled. He didn't get there quick enough.
It's the trap pass. That's the one Gronkowski said when he was on with the Manning brothers. Do you remember when he said, I've scored like all my touchdowns and all my yards off this play? And Brady said it on the NFL film show. That was the trap pass. They usually run it with Marpet pulling. This time they switched it up, ran it with Kappa, which was a good idea. Judon just never fell for the run fake. It's play action. He never fell for it at all. Blew right by both of them because of it. And I think Rojo kind of knocked Kappa off the block a little bit. But it was a good wrinkle, and I thought it was a good play call in terms of trying to change it up on there. But I do give Judon a heck of a credit because he just read it the whole way. He identified it.
I just still think when you're trying to double team a guy, for him to get in the backfield that quickly and get a sack like that, I almost felt it was little bit inexcusable in that situation. And then Kappa got dominated by Lawrence Guy on a run play that I believe was second and 1.
Literally got thrown.
Yeah, and then it led to the 3rd and 1. I believe Brady's pass got tipped after that. And, you thought the Bucs were about to do their thing and move down the field, and their drive just instantly stopped like that. So, that was Kappa responsible for that situation as well. I didn't really love the play of the tight ends. Obviously, not having Gronk was huge, but O.J. Howard, his only contribution to the game was a false start penalty. I mean, he's been relegated to 3rd-string tight end. As much as the Bucs use their tight ends, you still would have thought he could have had some type of impact on this game, whether it was in the passing game. But, he was invisible in that game. Cam Brate had the very nice catch towards the end of the game. But again, that slant across the middle,
out earlier in the red zone,
right in his hand, out. You just can't make those mistakes in these types of games. And he made up for it later, but he was wide open. You really miss Gronk in this game just from the play of both tight ends, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Matt,
hey, you know what you don't miss? Before we bring in JC, you know what you don't miss, Matt? People aren't going to miss the opportunity to sign up for the Pewter Report Bowling League with Pin Chasers, are they? Because you've got them covered with all the information they need to go visit our friends over at Pin Chasers and join the Pewter Report Bowling League. Tell the people, Matt, about how they can get involved in the best.
It's coming up next 2 Mondays from now, since tomorrow. Well, actually, today is Monday, so next Monday from now. October 11th, starting at 6:30. We got some signups already. Some teams coming. It's going to be a very competitive league. I'm looking forward to it. Pewter Report Bowling League is going to be every Monday at 6:30. You could sign up individually or with a team. We keep it competitive. There is a handicap, so even if you're not the best bowler, if you're going against someone that's really good, the scores will be averaged out, so it keeps for good competition and the overall fun level. But Pin Chasers itself is an awesome atmosphere. It's ran by huge Bucs fans. They've been in business for over 60 years. It's a family-owned business. You got pizza night every Tuesday.
All you can eat pizza.
Yeah, all you can eat pizza for $11.99. Free bowling on Thursday nights and $1 Miller Lights. The food, the 10-pin grill there is fantastic. Burgers, fries, anything you could think of, they got that meal. Breakfast food all day long. Doesn't matter if you're there at lunchtime, at midnight, they got breakfast food for you there. So make sure you go to pinchasers.net to reserve a lane or set up a party. And again, the Pewter Report Bowling League next Monday, October 11th, Columbus Day at 6:30. Start signing up. We're going to be there. Well, we're going to be there every week, but we're going to have raffles and giveaway on the first night, some Pewter Report t-shirts. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Come talk Bucs with me, and it's going to be an awesome time. So make sure you're there October 11th, as I said.
Matt, before we let you go, give us your game balls real quick, presented by Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
Yes, sir. First, on the offensive side of the ball, I got to go with Lombardi, Lenny. His best game of the season so far with the team. Ran the ball quite well, was effective, especially in the screen game, and drew a very important pass interference penalty on that drive to set up the game-winning field goal by Ryan Succop. Defensively, there's a couple ways you can go with this, but I'm going to give a shout-out to Antoine Winfield Jr. Scott, you have talked a lot about how he's been solid, but he hasn't been making those splash plays that we saw from him last year. Well, he made those splash plays today with the interception and forcing, as I spoke about before, a crucial forced fumble that helped the Bucs stay within the game. So Antoine Winfield made the splash plays today that we've been waiting for, and hopefully he's healthy and can get back to the field ASAP.
Awesome stuff, Matt. Thank you so much for your contributions. You can read Matt at pewterreport.com and sign up for that bowling league too. We're going to bring in JC Allen right now. JC.
Oh, JC's on the show. Okay.
JC got himself in some hot water.
Come on, bring it on, everyone in the chat. Everyone bring it.
Yeah, they're going to let you hear about it, I think, a little bit. But,
Listen,
Brady, to me, he was the story of this game, right, in a lot of ways, to a lot of people. And I love what Bruce Arians said after the game about this is a team sport and people boiling it down to that, are missing out, and I completely agree. I completely agree with that. But I also get it. I know the age we live in. I know how we like to individualize things. This one was easy, easy for people to get down that path. And it was a little bit of an uneven start for sure. I still think Brady made probably 5 throws in this game that were like, wow. including a couple on that drive before the end of the first
Back
half.
shoulder to AB.
Last drive. Back shoulder to AB was sick throw, had 2 sick ones, especially the first one to Godwin, just dropped it in opposite hash on the vertical throw on the 2-minute drive before the end of the first half. Then at the end, back in the end zone to AB was another sick throw. The AB throw that was taken off the board by a Donovan Smith penalty. So yeah, I came away thinking more and more how impressed I was. Obviously, not everything went the Bucs' way for sure in that game, and Brady did miss. I didn't feel like he missed a lot of open people except on shorter throws, but I did feel like he had a harder time finding people open. The replays we got, it did look like Patriots played great man coverage. It's what they do. It makes it a little bit tougher at times. 3-man rushes, he was taking his time a little bit, not trying to force the ball. I get it. But bottom line is I know we like to put everything back on a quarterback. It's just how the world of football works. But my issues with the Bucs and my concerns with the Bucs are not related to the quarterback. And in this game, they are related to the play caller. I've been a pretty fierce advocate of Byron Leftwich this season. I think he's had a great first 3 games. I thought in this second half, he did not know what he was doing. He was trying to establish the run. It was not there in terms
John,
of
did they run the ball
yardage.
tonight? Did they run the ball?
They ran it, Scott.
Oh, they did, didn't they? Do you remember a key? Do you remember a key 3rd and 1 where they liked it to pass the ball?
I don't even remember, but I'm sure you're right. They were in 16 third downs tonight because
it was the pass that got batted at the line of scrimmage.
Oh yeah.
Okay, John. They
ran on 2nd and 2.
What is 3rd and 1?
3rd and 1 is a running down.
It's a rundown.
I guess when you ran on 2nd and 2 and didn't go
run the ball, especially when you're averaging over 4 yards a carry, right?
I mean, the Bucs were in 19 third down situations tonight. That is horrible.
Yes.
You never want to be in third down that often because even when you have a good percentage, like 47%, which they had tonight, you are still almost losing the game because it's not good enough when you're in third down all the time. If you have 10 third downs and you win 47% of them, that's okay. You can live with that because if you score points, you won on 1st and 2nd down way more often, hopefully. They didn't win really ever on 1st down in this game. So many short gains on 1st down. They were always in 3rd down. They survived. It's a horrible process. It's the same process that got them in trouble all year last year. And to hear Arians say after the game, JC, that the running, sticking with it was what won him the game. And he admitted that he normally gets away from it. But, man, I just felt like that was – not that running at all wasn't part of it, but the fact that he credited that with the win blew my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly – I mean, the running game definitely helped, and it was finally good to see it start getting going. Leonard Fournette, attacking the holes, although he still was dancing around a little bit, but he did find some nice holes to run through. But you won this game through the air. I mean, that's what it did. It didn't show up enough on the stat sheet, and there were some obviously key drops throughout the entire game. Antonio Brown to seal the deal was the biggest one, but Bruce says the craziest things in his interviews, so I won't put anything past them anymore.
Well, but here's the thing, and I think when you look back at last week's game against the Rams, they weren't getting anything going in the running game. They just weren't, right? So they decided to throw the ball almost exclusively on every down in the second half, and I'm okay with that. It's like the idea of you banging your head against the wall is not going to knock the wall down. It's going to give you a headache. You're going to have a gash in your forehead, right? So I get it. When something's not working, don't stick with it because you're just wasting time, wasting downs. But listen, at no point in time was Tom Brady on fire tonight, okay? His throws were high. I think that it was some of this was weather related. I think the other part of it was we saw the emotions. This was a first for Tom Brady. Okay, this guy's been through everything in the NFL, everything except for tonight. This was a first. This was a rookie moment for the most veteran of all veteran quarterbacks. Why? Because he's never been into a homecoming situation before. It only happens once. Tonight it happened to a 44-year-old Tom Brady. He went into that atmosphere, and it got to him a little bit. He was not nearly as sharp. And whenever you see those passes sail high, that's usually an indicator you get a little case of the yips, not from pressure, not from pass rush, but from the pressure of the moment, right? I think Tom wanted to have a certain type of game, and it wasn't going that way. And listen, the weather played a big role in that. But credit Bruce Arians for saying, we're not going to stick with throwing the ball because that's not what's working. I've got I've got a running back here in Leonard Fournette who's having a great night. This is the return of playoff Lenny. And I think that was the key to them winning this game. I really do. I mean, it's not like Brady was a bystander tonight.
I don't think that was the process, though. Like, if you looked across the game, they were protecting well. Drops were a problem for them, but they threw the ball pretty well throughout the game. It wasn't
Tom Brady completed 51% of his passes, John. This is a guy that's
several were dropped. That's execution errors. You need to take care of execution errors to me before anything else.
There's drops in every game, fellas. There are, but I'm just telling you tonight that there's drop passes when Tom Brady's completing 74% of his passes too. But what I'm saying is Brady was off tonight. 51% of his passes were completed, and you can say he had 5-7 drops, whatever. Okay, but there's still a lot of misfires. A lot of times the ball was. I mean that slant down. Yeah, the Cam Brate, but there was also that slant down there to Edwards that was like too high for a 6'5" receiver down there in the red zone. So
that was just a straight up drop, hit him in both hands.
It didn't, John. It glanced off the tip of his
I think you'll see it on the replay and see a different story, because that should have been caught 100%. That'll go down as a drop in the red zone. And I felt like that was more the issue than anything else tonight. I still, yes, the Patriots were never going to be a 70% completion game, especially the way that the Bucs play. I just felt like that wasn't the issue at all tonight. I thought the first down runs put them consistently in 3rd and long, especially in that second half. And I felt like that contributed more than anything else to the fact that the Bucs couldn't score when they got down the red zone. Too many 3rd downs all the way down the field. And Brady got them out of several, especially in the second half on those field goal drives. But it was difficult to live that way the whole game. And they were in those situations all game. 19 3rd downs is, to me, that was the story of the whole thing.
Yeah. It's too many. Yeah.
And they couldn't do anything off those turnovers either. I mean, you had a missed field goal, a 3-and-out. You got to take advantage. It's great to have turnovers, and Winfield showed up huge, but you got to be able to, make points out of those. You can't just, give up points like that. So,
also too, it's not like this Buccaneer team is foreign to playing in bad weather. It happens. I mean, it rains down here in Florida, despite being the Sunshine State. But at the same time, these weather conditions were more like New England than they were Tampa. And it's no excuse because you're a professional. You got to get there and execute, whether it's blazing heat, whether it's pouring down rain, whether it's snowing, whatever. But I just think that the weather did affect this game, and it affected the game plan for the Buccaneers. And I thought, to their credit, both the Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich, I didn't like the play calling, but I liked the play direction that they went. And they leaned on the running game when they needed it most. And I just wrote about the Bucs' lack thereof in terms of the running game in my Fab 5, the ugly truth about it. But I also pointed out that in the playoffs, they ran for over 100 yards in 3 out of those 4 playoff games, and they needed that tonight, and they got it. If they couldn't have been able to run the ball tonight, they would not have won this game.
What happens now? Go ahead, JC.
I was going to say, you guys mentioned the penalty. I mean, the 3rd down, the 19 3rd downs. Conversely, the Bucs stepped up on defense for the first time this season. They're a 28th ranked 3rd down defense. They held Mac Jones to 2 of 9 on 3rd down. So it's a step in the right direction in that way. Penalties still killed them, though.
Yeah, penalties did, and we just got to talk about it. Like, honestly, I think we just need to get it off our chest. But first, I do want to mention to everybody, and I want to make sure people know about our friends over at Living Golf Life and the wonderful products that they're producing over there. And they're getting up some new stuff too. It's pretty exciting. They've got some new hats coming in. We're very excited to be modeling those on the show pretty soon. But livinggolflife.com, it's a place you can get you can get polos, shirts, you can get hats, you got koozies and glasses, all kinds of stuff. Living Golf Life is just an unbelievable brand started by 2 guys, military background. It's kind of their dream. They love going out golfing, getting on the course, having a few cold ones and hanging out. And they believe it's a lifestyle. And I know a lot of people in this chat probably agree with that and have some of their best pastimes out on the golf course, just shooting it around. So I just think that what they do in terms of the model of what they're trying to create at livinggolflife.com, it's really cool. And so encourage people to go over there, follow them on Instagram at Living Golf Life, check out their products, see if there's something you'd like as a present, something you'd like to get somebody else as a present, and support those guys because I think they're doing some awesome stuff. And they have some really cool designs. The Living Golf Life hat that you see there on the screen is one of my favorites. So if you get a chance to check that one out, yeah, it's pretty fresh. It's pretty awesome. So definitely check that one out for sure. the officiating, guys. I mean, what are we doing at this point? Like, this is today
Killing the
was
game.
just
Killing the game,
ridiculous.
John.
Full-time
all
refs.
across
Stay
the
with me,
league
guys.
today. And then how at the end,
Full-time.
1st and 15, everything else aside, the ridiculous fumble calls, some of the ridiculous pass interference, all that stuff aside, how do you miss the guy jump with the false start who jumps and then literally drops his head like this because he knows it? You don't call either. At least call the dejected response as a false start. Like, if you're not going to, they don't call either. And the Bucs are all screaming for penalty. They blew the coverage in the flat, and it's a 15-yard gain or whatever. But it's just, I mean, come on, like that kind
We're
of
not
stuff.
going to see a change.
Ridiculous.
We're not going to see a change until they go full time. I mean, my wife works with one of the replay officials. He's got a normal 9-to-5 job during the week, and then he goes refs college on Saturday and NFL on Sunday. Like, we need guys to just be full-time officials. They need to really work at their craft during the week, in the off season, and it's just getting, you know, you never want to say take the human side out of it and just put like robots or something, but something's got to happen. Cameras, somebody up in the top making these calls, because they're just egregious.
Okay,
all day.
I got a question for you, JC, because I'm of the same mindset. Like, I'm all in favor of full-time refs, whatever that means. I guess it means you don't have any other job but this. But the thing is when you only have 17 games that you're going to work during the season, that's 17 days out of 365, right, that you're calling the game. So how are you going to get better? I mean, you can only watch so much tape, right? So I'm just saying, like, I'm with you, but at the same time, to play devil's advocate, how are our full-time officials going to be any better? Because you have to work at something and do it multiple times for you to be better. And right now, these guys are only doing 17 games during the regular season to begin with. They're not going to do any more, right, if they're full-time. So how does that necessarily improve things?
Yeah. I mean, you could look to maybe college, but rules are different there too. So I don't have a correct answer, and I think that might be part of the reason why we don't have full-time officials. You know, they're working on different leagues here that could maybe supplement and be additions to the NFL and kind of farm systems, and maybe that's a route you look. I don't know. There's got to be some sort of solution, because we can't keep having this officiating.
It's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem. But also, just making it full-time fix it? I don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm all in favor of if it fixes it. I just don't know what the fix is.
You need less rules.
I don't know, maybe virtual reality. You got like, the VR stuff. Maybe that you can do that. I don't know.
But it's like, how do you help it without slowing the game down? That's the other hard part. I think you need less rules. Like, you need to simplify
Everyone's
things.
screaming Sky Judge. Do we
trying
think
to make this
would work?
Trying to like leave all this ambiguous calls up to the officials just kills it. I mean, like, I think you need to simplify things. You know, the blows of the head, all this kind of stuff. Like, okay, you want to keep blows of the head, especially helmet to helmet, out of the game, but you can't be every time a guy gets hit, there's a flag throw. I mean, I saw a post pattern in the Falcons Cardinals game, or Falcons Washington game, and there's a hit in the back of the end zone, and the corner literally hit the guy going over the middle with like his butt and hip. It was clearly from live. You could see it was not. And as soon as the collision happened, it's just a flag on the field. And they picked it up, to their credit, but it's just like that just reveals like how, and we see that all the time. It's just like as soon as there's any type of a hit.
You're exactly right.
It's a flag.
It seems to me, I want to say it might have been Carlton in this game where it was across the middle and it looked very questionable, and there was a flag. And the thing is I think these refs are so conditioned that if they think that there might have been pass interference and the guy gets up and starts selling it, right, and the crowd starts selling it, that he buys it and throws the flag. And it's like, to me, if you see it, call it. If you don't see it, don't call it. And I just think that the consistency from game to game, from crew to crew, it's just like, it's just so inconsistent, and it really is ruining the game. In my opinion, let the players play, err on the side of that, rather than have the game be dictated by absolute bullshit officiating.
Yeah, and the one thing that also cracks me up is, this is totally aside, and I didn't see it in this game, the forward progress thing is like ridiculous. Today, the Panthers had a big hit, like just open field, big hit, and the ball, while he's going down, the ball comes out. And it was like, no, his forward progress was stopped. Yeah, during the hit that dislodged the ball. But then you see a guy like go into the pile on like on 3rd and 1 or whatever, get to or near the goal line, and his forward progress is clearly stopped, but no whistle sounds. And 5 years later, his O-line like rolls him into the end zone. And it's like, how is this like, this is so simple to me.
Yeah.
Like, and you just like let these plays go on for forever where guys in the middle of a pile getting carried by like 10 dudes on his team. It's just, how can we not? There's so many things, man. We could do a whole show on it, but it's ridiculous. And the Bucs have not benefited from it. That's kind of how it ties to Tampa Bay. No. They've really not benefited. They did get the pass interference late, the Leonard play that you mentioned, JC. That was a big moment in the game, I felt like, obviously.
But it was also a hell of a throw by Tom Brady. I mean, the ball was right on the money, and Fournette is trying to get his hands up. Both of his hands were held by Van Noy, but I mean, that was a beautiful pass by Brady down the field.
Yeah, that was really what was working for the Bucs. So, funny enough, was passes down the field. I feel like that was one of Brady's more accurate games in that regard, and it was underneath stuff that was missing a little bit. Yeah. But I know the Patriots probably don't know what a downfield pass looks like because I'm not sure anybody other than Jacoby Myers attempted one for them tonight. But Candy Cane Arm Mac had him. Sorry, I'm giving JC the business. I actually didn't remember JC was down there. Sorry, JC.
Well, hey, listen, John, you mentioned Jacoby Myers. Just a hat tip to that guy, right? 8 catches, 70 yards. He also completed both of his passes for 45 yards. So
I forgot he had the other one.
Still has no receiving touchdowns.
Still has no receiving touchdowns, yes. But if you want yards, he's your guy because he had plenty of them tonight. He was kind of the equivalent to Leonard Fournette on the Patriots side. He had 70 yards through the air receiving and then 45 through the air passing. So he got it done 2 ways like Leonard Fournette did with his big night on the ground, 91 yards rushing and then 47 yards receiving. And again, that 31-yard pass interference call on Van Noy was a big play on that field goal drive by Succop to win the game.
Right, for sure. They had not benefited. They benefited less from pass interference penalties than any other team in the league, and I wondered when that would kind of come back around. It did, obviously, in a key moment there. That stuff usually does regress some, but overall, Bucs have not. Patriots did have some uncharacteristic penalties tonight. They overcame a lot of them. The 1st and 20 and 2nd and 20, the Bucs let them kind of overcome, and almost the 3rd and 19 or whatever before they decided to not go for it on 4th down before the end of the half. So lots of questionable things about the process. Here's what I want to do, guys, before we get to game balls. Let's just look ahead real quick for the Bucs because the injury outlook is bleak right now, especially for the secondary, really mainly. They will get some people back. Jason Pierre-Paul hopefully back this week. Jamel Dean hopefully back this week.
Well, I mean, the thing about Pierre-Paul, John, he did have 2 interceptions last year, so maybe you use him as a corner.
That's true.
That's a safety. I don't know. I mean, as much as Todd Bowles likes to drop him in coverage, it might as well, right?
Gosh, yeah.
They could probably use him there and keep Joe Tryon-Shoyinka at the edge position.
Hey, I don't hate it. Jacoby Brissett is up next on next Sunday. Was that 1 p.m. game next week?
It is. It's 1 o'clock game. One of the rare Buccaneers. I know.
The only 1 o'clock game over the first half
Quite
of the season, I believe, for the Bucs. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the short week to Thursday night against the Eagles. So we'll see with Gronkowski. We'll see where things settle with him and his injury. Bruce Arians kind of clarified his injury tonight, as much as Bruce Arians ever clarifies things, because there was like reports ranging from Gronk has sore ribs and he's going to miss this week, but he almost played, to Gronk almost died. I mean, I'm exaggerating. But Jay Glazer was like, he's got a punctured lung, 3 cracked ribs. He broke another one. He fell off a bridge. It just like gets ridiculous. And so I don't know. And Bruce Arians after the game was like, he had a little pinch in his lung. He said, I don't know what that even means, but it doesn't sound like it was like a full puncture.
Well, here's what was told to me, and I reported on pewterreport.com. The reason that there is cause for optimism with Gronkowski's injury is that they didn't put him on injured reserve, because if you put him on injured reserve, that means at least 3 weeks. So this team is hopeful. They do not expect him to play against the Dolphins. They're not closing the door on that, but there is hope that over the next 10 days, you could see him in that Thursday night game against Philadelphia. And I think that's probably more likely than Sunday, but really it's a pain management type thing. You can tape the ribs, put the flak jacket on, and when you run, when you fall, when you get hit, it's going to hurt. But how much of that can you take? And we'll see how Gronkowski, how quickly he heals.
Pain management, like Bull said the other day.
if I'm the Bucs, you're not taking any opponent lightly, but you're also talking about a guy who's older in his health and has had injuries before.
Yes.
I don't even worry about playing Gronkowski this week. I mean, the Dolphins are one of the worst teams in the league right now, and they're on their backup quarterback. They have a pathetic offensive line. They've given up 35 points to the Bills, 31 to the Raiders, 27 to the Colts over the last 3 weeks. Even their defense is not playing well. Like, you need to be able to win this game. You need to be able to win the next 3 games without it being like this in this game.
And you know what, John? I go ahead and I in my mind, I'm saying you're not even playing against the Eagles either, because after the Eagles game, you have 10 days off before the next opponent. So why not buy that time and get Gronk fully healthy for the home stretch?
Right. The Eagles are struggling mightily on defense right now. Dolphins are struggling on both sides of the ball. Chicago's after that. Justin Fields played better this week. We'll see if it lasts. It was a couple throws, and I have high expectations for Fields personally as a guy who's a big fan, but we'll see.
You might have Summerby Bunting back too by the Chicago.
You might have back by then, right? Yeah. You should have Dean back by then for sure, and Jason Pierre-Paul. So the next couple weeks for the Bucs need to be wins. They need to not look like this crap tonight.
In advance. That's it. Survive in advance.
I get it, but you're not going to win many games playing like this tonight, I don't think. Even against teams that are worse than New England. And the next 3 teams are worse than New England. I know the Dolphins beat them week 1, but the next 3 teams, that was with Tua, and Tua's not even good. But this is going to be with Brissett, who holds the ball a ton. You should be able to get pressure. He would look like a mess today against the Colts, who were 0-3 going into the game. You just need to, the next 3 weeks need to be no question wins, and then you go into week 8 or whatever it is against the Saints, and that's obviously a huge game. The Saints are not good, but they're going to play everybody tough because they're really well coached and their defense is good. So
they can run the ball back too.
Yeah,
so you're right. Marcus Davenport might be back. Their defensive tackle, I can't remember his name. Will be coming
David Onyemata, yes, he'll be back.
Suspension.
You'll get the Saints will be probably healthier at that point. We'll see, and the Bucs are banged up. Maybe they'll be healthier then. So there's just a lot of that. But that you need to be a 1-loss team going into that game. The next 3 weeks need to be wins. I don't care who's out. You need to dominate those next 3 games.
Right,
for sure.
You face 3 of the worst offensive. If the Eagles' offensive line stays banged up, you'll face 3.
The Eagles game.
It might not be
the Eagles game. The Eagles game still scares me a little bit. As a
the Eagles are the toughest of those 3. But they also,
especially with Jalen Hurts' ability to make plays, and I'm still a little concerned about the Bucs open field tackling. Especially without a guy like Carlton Davis, who's a very good tackler.
Even Winfield for the game he had, he missed that tackle on the touchdown.
Yeah, so that's something that concerns me. And you get Jalen Hurts with some run pass options where he is break and contain. He can make guys miss, pick up first downs, run for touchdowns. I agree, John. I think that's probably the most dangerous game of the next 3 coming up.
Hey, you know what isn't a dangerous game?
What's that?
Shaving your balls with Manscaped.
That's so right.
Because they've invented unbelievable creation in the Performance Package 4.0, the Lawnmower 4.0. Only the GOAT technology for the greatest balls of all time. When you're going toward the end zone, make sure you use the right tools for the job and choose Manscaped. 2 million men worldwide trust them. So join the movement with our exclusive offer by using the promo code Pewter20, PEWTER, Pewter20, manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. Here's the deal with the Performance Package 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer that you just saw Scott hold up. The Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. By the way, that light on that thing,
this is important.
You need down there. There's no snags. It's a nice, clean, comfortable shave.
Yes.
There's a waterproof on and off switch, a travel lock on and off switch, and it's waterproof. Use in the shower, whatever. It's great stuff. Great technology. Super comfortable. You also get the Weed Whacker air and nose hair trimmer, crop preserver ball deodorant, crop reviver toner. Plus 2 free gifts, the Performance Boxer Briefs and the Shed Travel Bag. Outstanding stuff by Manscaped. You can get 20% off this game-changing product by going to manscaped.com, getting free shipping with the promo code Pewter20 and getting 20% off. That is an unbelievable deal for an unbelievable product that has changed the game for everyone at Pewter Report, including those who used it before, because it's that good. And so you've got to pick this up. Ask for it for a present. Give it to somebody as a present. Get yourself Manscaped up so that you can live life to the fullest.
And
John,
Scott showed you the weed whacker. I'm going to show you the deodorant that I'm wearing right now.
No, don't show us anything.
John, did you say free shipping or free shirts?
I did. I see free shipping, but maybe free shirts too.
Yeah, we do have some free shirts. These have been going like hotcakes. Why? Because you guys have been joining the Manscaped movement and supporting our sponsors, and we appreciate that. So all we need you to do is place an order with the promo code Pewter20. It's going to save you 20% off, get you the free shipping. And if you email that to me, email me your proof of purchase. It's got your address on it, which is why I need it. So email it to me at sr@pewterreport.com. Easy to remember. SR, that's me, sr@pewterreport.com. I will send you a free Pewter Report t-shirt. We have them in black. We have them in gray. We have them in white. And these have been going like crazy. So we really appreciate the support. It's an absolutely free shirt. We'll ship it to you for free. It costs you nothing. Email me that proof of purchase at sr@pewterreport.com. I'll send you a free shirt. And guys, holiday season is rapidly approaching. So this is a great gift for yourself or for a dad, brother, uncle, best friend, college roommate, whatever. So jump on this order. It's a very good offer.
Yeah, really
College
is. No
roommate?
question about it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to send some for my college roommates. Yes. No doubt.
Hey, buddy, I noticed you've been using my razor. I got you something.
Listen. I'm not doing any personal inspections, but I can only guess. So that's what I'm saying.
You know, we're moving toward 2 a.m. when the podcast takes this turn. Let's get out of here. Let's wrap up here. More thoughts on the show coming tomorrow, though. 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live tomorrow, breaking all this down again, looking more in depth at, especially me. I'll be looking more in depth at some of these first down plays, some of the looking back at the tape a little bit too. Hopefully by then, there's a lot to break down from this one. That's kind of going to be: was the process really off offensively? Was it just execution? Just looking at some of those things. And then obviously, we'll begin as the week goes on, looking ahead to the next game as well for Tampa Bay against the Dolphins. We're going to be the pregame preview show will be on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we'll have more preview aspects, hopefully with guests too, coming over. And Tony, JC, what size shirt do you wear? I want to send you a Nick Folk shirt. Go Bucs, $5 super chat for Tony. Appreciate it. Thank you for everybody hammering JC in the chat. As you
very
should,
much appreciate
for him hedging his bets. It's not even that he picked the Patriots.
Just don't hedge your bets, man. Just stick with it. That's the thing.
Well, listen, let me explain myself.
No. Sorry, no. We're on to game balls presented by Manscaped. Your balls will thank you, and I'm going to go first.
Okay, fine.
Yes, I am. I'm going to pull rank. I'm going to go first. So my first game ball on the offensive side is going to go to, what's that guy's name? Leonard! What are you doing? Rushing for 91 yards, Leonard! Oh my God! Oh, man.
It's the most high pitched I've ever.
Oh, Leonard, what are you doing? 91 yards on the ground. You're back to your postseason, and I love it. 91 yards. Okay, 4.6 yard average. Really appreciate that. I also like the fact that, I did have a drop, but 3 catches, 47 yards, including a 23-yarder, proving that sometimes Bucs running backs can catch the ball and be productive. So I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette for my offensive game ball. And I also appreciate the fact that he ran the wheel route, and he and Tom Brady were on the same page. Once he saw that matchup with Kyle Van Noy, Brady knew exactly where he wanted to go with the ball. So big play by Leonard, even though he didn't catch it, drew a 31-yard pass interference call. On the defensive side of the ball, you know me, John. You know me, JC. I like the trench play. So that means this guy, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka.
I always go last. Everybody takes mine.
Oh, I'm just saying, John, listen, we had him in our Bucs best bet back at draft time. We had him in the mock draft. We were singing this guy's praises before most were. And there's a reason for that. And you saw it tonight. You didn't even see it on the Washington tape, John. I mean, it's just one of those things that I'm with you. I was kind of like, well, he's got the traits, but, the production isn't there a whole bunch. But listen, this kid did a lot of growing up sitting out a year of football, and he worked on his craft, and that just showed up big time in training camp. It showed up big time in the preseason, and now you're showing it it's showing a big time in the stat sheet. 2 big sacks tonight, including one on third down. That's the money down. That's where you got to get the guys off the field. I liked the back-to-back sacks. I think it was Will Golston, and then it was Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, the rookie, and that's what you want to see. You want to see pressure on third down, forcing punts, and I think the next step in the maturation process for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka You know what's going to be? It's going to be sack fumbles. I think they're coming.
Yeah, he is. He looked awesome. Like even plays where he didn't get sacks. I know the second one was unblocked.
Yeah. Oh,
but even his timing is.
How about that play where he's setting the edge, taking on 3 Patriots and allowing Carlton Davis to fill the alley for that tackle for loss back in the first quarter? I mean, that's just outstanding play. He literally drove, I think it was a wide receiver or tight end back and then wrecked the whole play. I loved seeing that great trench play.
Is he the highest graded Buck from this game?
In the game?
Defensively?
I don't know. I don't know how they grade, man. I don't
either, but I think that
it's a mystery.
It is a mystery, but I think he has a chance to be that way. I think he played that well.
And listen, sacks are what they are. As Rod Marinelli told me, one sack is one play out of 60, 70 in a game. So it's not the end all be all, but I do like the sacks on the money downs, and I do like the fact he played very well against the run from what I saw. Listen, whenever you hold a team to -1 yard rushing, even if they're not trying, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, for sure. And,
see what I did there? Yeah.
I like
it's definitely
like it,
all right.
JC.
Might as well let JC go first.
All right, JC.
He's itching to get in. Go ahead, JC.
Itching. I see what you did there, John.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm on the offensive side. I'm going to give it to Mr. Mike Evans here. Finish the game.
Whoa, Mike Evans. He didn't play for the Patriots. What are you talking about? Come on, JC.
Come on.
He doesn't wear number 12. What are you doing?
I know. I'm not picking
doing?
number 12 this week. No, Mike Evans, 7 catches, 75 yards.
Tom is not happy with you.
You guys kill me.
It's not just the Bucs fans,
average.
John. Now it's Tom. You got Tom.
Bill Belichick's probably going to bench you this week.
God.
Yeah, drew a tough matchup against J.C. Jackson, and he delivered, multiple ways with some clutch catches to extend drives, and so Mike Evans is going to be my guy right there.
Okay, all right.
On
That's a big upset.
On the defensive side, the dude woke up this week. Obviously, he said, my nickname's not Sack Barrett. I got to earn that. Well, he came through, delivered with a sack, not only a sack, 2 quarterback hits, pass deflection, tackle for a loss, finished with 3 solo tackles. Not the
should have had a forced fumble. He got screwed by the refs. Yeah.
So Shaq Barrett's my defensive player.
Okay.
I just got my defensive game ball.
Interesting. Well, Tony Saylor doesn't like the Mike Evans. I've got Mike Evans things to say, but I'm going to leave him for tomorrow's show. I agree with Tony, though. I'm more close. I respect you, JC. I respect your opinion. I appreciate you saying that.
The drop ball, obviously, was big.
It's not just the drops. I've got other thoughts. I've got other Mike Evans thoughts coming tomorrow on the show.
Out there.
I'm saving them for tomorrow on the show. I got
too
many things to say here. I got too many things to say here. Chris Godwin was the best Bucs wide receiver tonight. Well, actually, Antonio Brown was the
Who was the best? Chris Godwin.
Yes, but Antonio Brown was the best.
Antonio Brown was
he had huge catches
5
on the
times.
drive for the field goal.
What's he going to pick? Ross Cockrell was another Steeler for your
He doesn't play wide receiver, so I couldn't pick it.
All right, John. Let's hear your game.
I would love to give it to Antonio Brown because if it hadn't been for the Donovan Smith penalty, he would have been well over 100 yards in this game and made several clutch catches on third down. Yeah, the Smith penalty, or
the Smith penalty, but also the fact you're picking AB for something. Just leave it out there.
I didn't even pick him for the best wide receiver. Godwin's the guy I picked. I said on the team, man. I'm not the AB guy here. But no, he was a great game until that drop at the end of the game.
It was about 4 years ago, though.
That was about as perfect as a throw can be. That's how perfect that throw was.
Yes.
And that's a catch he makes 99 times out of 100. He didn't make it in that one. So I couldn't give him the game ball. Took it away from him. Got to give it to the offensive line. I think they played really, really well tonight. We'll look individually at some of the performances a little bit closer, but I know Matt Judon made a play here and there. I thought it was more schematic things than it was like people were like, oh, let's look at the broadcast. I saw they were like, let's look at Donovan Smith versus Matt Judon, and they had a play where like Donovan Smith was clearly not assigned to block him, and Judon just ran free into the backfield, and then the hands to the face one, which I felt like happens on all these plays, and he just got hit with it. And so I didn't have a major problem with the offensive line tonight in their play. I thought that was best the Bucs have run the ball. I personally think the offensive line has been fine in that regard anyway. I think the scheme is killer for this team, and I think it even was tonight at some points in the run game, but they found a way to stay on blocks, and Lenny got a couple like second, third effort runs, and I think that was due to the O-line. And so yeah, I thought that was a great performance by the offensive line and protection. I know the Patriots only rushed a few, so I'm giving them the game ball as a group. And then, yeah, the other part of this, I think, is defensively trying to pick somebody you guys didn't pick. Just, but Matt picked Winfield, didn't he? And so
Yeah.
You guys picked the best ones. You guys are on it. But I mean, I'm going to go Winfield too, even though I, obviously very high on trying to drink his performance. Winfield, just because I think he's needed to make splash plays. Like that was a thing last year that he did really, really well. I know he's not going to be a guy that blows coverages. Like he's not a high variance player at all. But what's the upside? Like, what are you getting in terms of splash plays and potential with Winfield, especially if the Bucs aren't going to use him near the line of scrimmage at all? If he's going to play just free safety for them, which it seems like they've determined is going to happen. I think he needs to make more plays like he made tonight. Obviously, Cockrell made the play that he got the interception on, but he's still in pretty good position to contest that. And then Joe and then later in the game when he had the forced fumble, putting the helmet right on the ball there and getting that thing out, that was one of the plays of the game probably. And
big
so
time.
Going to Winfield for that one.
We would be remiss if we didn't say Richard Sherman with Johnny on the spot picking up that ball. Listen, I know Sherman got picked on a lot tonight. He did. And he was a step slow in coverage. Is that a sign that he's a 33-year-old cornerback and has lost a step? Or is it a sign that after not playing any football at all this year, he practices 3 days in a row and then gets commissioned with starting a game that he probably didn't want to start because he wasn't going to be sharp. He wasn't going to be fresh, but yet he went out there and did a yeoman's work tonight. I thought he kept plays in front of him. He didn't get beat deep. Part of that was scheme for sure, but I'm going to give Richard Sherman, a gold star in the fridge for effort. He doesn't get a game ball, but he gets a gold star on the fridge because he showed up, and I think he gets credit for the fumble recovery being Johnny on the spot there.
Yeah,
and think about
good shout out here from Flash Gordon on Jordan Whitehead
to get his football legs under him.
Yeah,
we don't talk enough about how Jordan Whitehead has played great for this team for a while now. Really, since that Chargers game where he blew the touchdown, and I mean he's bounced back from that. He had a rough first couple games, and then he's been lights out for the Bucs. I know they shelter him in his role a little bit in terms of coverage. They don't ask him to do that much, but he's got to be one of the best run stuffing. I know he did miss a tackle in this game, but just such a physical tackler, and he's great around the box, man. He really is a difference maker in that area for them. I think it's been a big difference having him.
I'd like to see him get blitzed more. I'd like to see him be that chess piece that gets used to go after the quarterback. Listen, I don't want to throw too much shade Devin White's way, but what's the point of blitzing a guy who's going to consistently overrun a quarterback, especially when the quarterback is not terribly mobile, right?
I mean, you obviously have to blitz Devin White because how else are you going to use him when he's on the field on passing downs?
Right.
He can't cover anyone. But I just slow down. You are so fast, dude.
Yes.
Mac Jones and Matt Ryan are not going to outrun you if you don't chase yourself out of the play.
Yeah.
Matt Clark, the good shout out to Ryan Succop.
Of course.
48-yard winner. I don't think it was downpouring when he hit the winner, but
Golston too. Golston deserves a shout out here too.
Yes. Yeah.
Had the sack, 3 tackles for a loss. He played well.
For sure. And so we'll see how it goes. Plenty more game balls to give out this season. Let's hope the Bucs are a little more deserving of them than they were tonight. Tough one, but they find a way to win 19-17 over the Patriots. Tomorrow we're live on the podcast 4 p.m. Make sure you're going back. Oh, yes.
I think we've got a Victory Monday tomorrow, don't we?
We do have a Victory Monday. Victory Monday podcast at 4 p.m. tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one. Yeah. So
Victory Monday today.
That's true.
Today. Yeah, that's true. So make sure you join us for that. And definitely stay tuned to pewterreport.com because we got content going up all over the place. Richard says Nick Folk finally won a game for us. Yes. Finally won a game.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it. But so appreciate you all jumping in here with us late. We had over 500 in here at one point, I think, just live with us at once. So appreciate everybody jumping in here on the show. Always been a lot of fun with y'all. Always a lot of fun with y'all throughout the day on the pregame show and the live in-game stream as well. Lots to talk about and break down this week as the Bucs roll into week 5 at 3-1. Fun stuff. Good time to be a Bucs fan, even if today was a little bit of a nail biter. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.